Okay friends, we are moving into the sixth lecture of the sentence correction. As always, we'll have 10 questions here. Let's start with the first one. It says that a study on couples retirement transition found that women who took new jobs after retiring from their primary career reported high mental satisfaction, more so than those who retired completely. It's a question of comparison. Are we comparing women? Are we comparing satisfaction? And that would really give us the right answer. So more satisfaction than those who retired, or with which was more so than those retiring. That's where it all comes into. So which was more than if they had retired, change of meaning. More than when retiring is weird. More than if they were to retire, which was more so than those retiring. So we are comparing satisfaction levels. So option A, which is as it is, remains the best thing to do. So that's comparing apple with oranges type question and some idiomatic issues. Let's move to the next. It said, although at one time children's programming had been limited to few hours a week, now however there are at least 4 cable networks that dedicate themselves entirely to produce specially for children's. So children's programming, I think programs for children, I don't know, everywhere it's used. Children programming, yeah, everywhere. So it says that at one time children's programming was limited to a few hours, but we have dedicated channels. Let's try to look for some errors. So although at one time children's programming had been limited for a few weeks, and now however there are at least 4 cable networks that are dedicated themselves, that have dedicated themselves. I think it's something is missing, and had been limited is also weird. And although and however they are redundant, so many reasons to reject this one. So with children programming having been limited, whenever I say this I can easily eliminate that option. Once limited to a few hours a week, okay, I think we are comparing maybe the right thing with right thing. Let's check out. Once limited, what? There are at least now 4 cable networks? No, cable networks was not limited to 4 hours a week, it was the programs. So C goes out. Children's programming was once limited to a few hours a week, but now there are at least 4 cable networks dedicated entirely to produce. So probably in D we are comparing the right things, children programming, then the children's programming in both section if you complete the sentence. So while children's programming had been once, wrong, weird way of using grammar, using past perfect, so that makes E go out. So the best option becomes D. So again, any easier one, modifiers after the comma, you should stick to what you want, no redundancy. Let's move to the third one. It says the ability of scientists to provide models of atmospheres complex response to changing conditions like seasonal planetary conjunction have become even more accurate. Okay, so their ability has become more accurate. Let's try to look for some ways to find out what's going on. Like seasonal characters have. So abilities being stick with have. Abilities, I think singular, we cannot change it to plural. That's one hand. The ability of scientists has become even more accurate in providing. Okay, that's it. Scientists have become to provide even more accurate model of atmosphere. Okay, scientists have become even more accurate in their ability for providing models of complex responses to changing conditions like seasonal and daily cycles of different planetary conjunction. Okay, scientists' ability to provide, GMAT does not like the word like there, it prefers such as, something like that. Scientists' ability to provide models of atmosphere's complex responses to changing conditions as such as, I think we need such as in E. And daily have scientists' ability should be has. So D goes out, E goes out, D goes out. A goes out due to have scientists have become more accurate and seasonal. So the only option that remains acceptable is option C, which is the right option. Let's move to the next one. It says, regardless of their form or function, all aerodynamically enhanced curve objects made for throwing have been called Bloomberg by non-Australian ever since. Or do we use ever since, or we use only one of them? 1788 when Europeans saw Doran. Okay, so there is comma, and then when Europeans saw Dorhung. So the one hint here is that regardless of their form or function should follow what is regardless. So any or all. So we cannot change the meaning. In option B, I think we mean any aerodynamic all enhanced curve object. So option A and B focuses on the same thing, but we cannot call any. All seems to be the thing that we want to convey. So ever since 1788, non-Australians have called aerodynamic enhanced curve object made for throwing, and they have called it boomerang. So it's a weird way in which it is being made. So ever since 1788, any aerodynamic enhanced curve object made for throwing has been called boomerang for by non-Australian regardless of its from when European. So again the pronoun ambiguity exists. Non-Australians have called all aerodynamically enhanced curvy objects made for throwing boomerang since 1788 regardless of their what is their form or function from comma when. So again from when becomes weird. That's one way to look at it. So the best option that remains with us is A itself. Let's move to the next. Industrialization, modern methods of insect control have improved the standard of living around the globe, while at some time they have introduced some 1000 chemical contents, comma having gone virtually. Oh, what is having gone? I think we need some that have or something like that. So that's one hint which will eliminate option A and D. So while at the same time introducing some 10,000 chemical pollutants that have gone virtually unregulated. Okay, while they have, who is they? Have introduced some 1000 dangerous chemical pollutants at the same time, which have, oh, while they have and at the same time. Don't you think it's redundant? So by introducing at the same time, again redundant, and at the same time is put away from where it should be. So that eliminates D and E and also the place of comma. So the best option becomes B. Let's move to the next. Sorry for the smaller font. So it says that the proliferation of so-called cybercriminals, people who register for internet domain of high-profile companies, however reselling those, led to passing of Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act, allowing companies to cede up damages against those who register domain names with sole intention of selling them later. Okay, so led to the passage of makes more sense. The led to the passage of led to the anti-consumer which was passed in 1999. Okay, this also makes sense. So let's look for reasons to remove some things. So let 2 passing the ending, this is run on, let 2 passing of the or something like that. So option B seems better. A goes out. Passing of the Anti-Consumer Act in 1991, which allows companies to cede up to 10,000 in damages against those who register domain names with sole intention that intend that they will sell. Okay, looks good. But which allow companies that small s would create trouble. So let's move to option C. A and B goes out. The passage in 19 of the Anti-Consumer Act, which allows companies to cede up 1,000 in damages against those who register domain name with the sole name. Okay, against those who register domain names with the sole intent of selling versus with the sole intent that they will sell. Oh, this becomes a half sentence, with the sole intent that they will sell. So sole intent of selling makes the ending more smooth. Led to the Anti-Cyber Computer, which was passed in 1990, and it allowed weird. The Anti-Corruption Protection was 19, and it allows companies to seek damages against those who register domain name with the sole intent of selling. So the reference and the pointing is wrong in option E. So the best option becomes C. Let's move to the next one. It says, whereas scientists, because of random fluctuation in the weather, cannot determine the transition, so they cannot determine. Okay. So they cannot determine one thing, so they cannot determine also the other thing. So in the same way or something like that, or just like scientists. So in the same way, a scientist, no, we are talking about generalized case. In as much as scientists weird, like scientists who, comma, because weird, just as scientists makes sense, like just as they don't do, so they cannot. So just as scientists, because of random fluctuation, cannot determine, so they cannot determine the other thing. So the right option here becomes B, just a case of an idiomatic behavior of the type of questions that we have to look into. Let's move to the next one. It says diesel engine burns as much as 30% less fuel than gasoline engines of comparable size, as well as emitting far less carbon dioxide and far fewer of the other gases that have been implicated in global warming. Okay, so these talk about diesel engines over gasoline engines. Let's try to see if the comparisons are made right, because there are a lot of comparisons here. So of comparable size, that do have a comparable size, weird. ABC looks better, as well as emit far less or far fewer, as well as emit or as well as emitting, or ing is always less preferred, but let's see for other great errors. So as well as emitting far less carbon dioxide and far fewer of the gases that have having been implicated. So other gases that have, A is wordy, it use ing, and when we have parallelism, as well as emit far less, why use emitting when we have used far fewer in the other part. So B always is a better option. Let's look at CD. So engines of comparable size, and also they, who is they, emit far fewer carbon dioxide and other gases that have been implicated. So fewer carbon dioxide, fewer of the other gases, less carbon dioxide, or fewer carbon dioxide, that's an again thing. So that leaves us with B as the best option, which has parallelism gone right, the fewer thing gone right, because far less is the better way to use it, and C and D and E could be eliminated right away. So let's go to the solution. So lack of parallelism, misuse of fewer, wrong way of starting D and E, and that makes B the best option. Let's move to the ninth one. It says that on Earth, among the surest indicators of sunshot cycles are believed to be the rate that trees grow, as seen in the rings visible. Okay, let's try to look at some easy elimination. So on Earth, what among the sunshot, it is believed that the rate of the tree growth as seen in the rings visible. Okay, so what is as seen in the rings visible in the cross section of the trunks? We are talking about the Earth among the are believed to be the rate trees grow. So on Earth should be followed by something that we want to focus on. So among the surest indicator on Earth of sunspot cycles believed to be tree growth rate. Weird. Among the surest indicator of sunspot cycle is believed to be the rate at which trees grow. I think that's too much wordy. And the idiom here that we are looking for is X is believed to be Y, something like that. So on Earth, the rate at which trees grow is believed to be among the surest indicator of sunspot cycles as seen. So we have to compare rate. So among the surest indicator, the rate is the surest indicator. So on Earth, the rate at which trees grow is believed to be the surest indicator. So the best option here becomes C. Let me take you to the official solution. So the placement of the words become very important in these type of questions. So the rate of tree growth is believed to be the surest indicator. So the rate should be put on the left. So that's one way to hint it. Then we have question 10. It says that the first discovered more than 30 years ago Lina's sunbird, a 4.5-inch animal found in Philippines and that resembles a hummingbird, has shimmering metallic colors and had a brilliant patch border. Okay, so a lot of parallelism here. So first discovered animal that is found, or we want to keep run on as found. So that's the first question. So that's one option, that's one way to look at it. But since we have many things, has a shimmering, a brilliant coverage, so I think we should not keep a that. So 4-member animal mound found in Philippines and that resembles a hummingbird found and resembling, okay, have shimmering, has a shimmering metallic color. So found in the Philippines and that resemble. So the best option here becomes C, because we have shimmering, so we need to keep one resembling. Found in Philippines, that is what is not required here. Because we have a shimmering on the followed, so we'll put resembling. So has shimmering and resembling becomes our best option. So that would bring me to the end of this class. Meet you in the next class. I hope you found this useful. Have a nice time preparing for GMAT sentence correction. Bye bye.